Jinwoo stared at the burning sky above Earth. The massive alien ships hung like dark clouds blocking out the sun. Their weapons had already destroyed half of the major cities. Seoul was gone. Tokyo was gone. New York was nothing but ash, but Jinwoo was not afraid. He stood in the underground bunker with his team. They were the last hope for humanity. The aliens called themselves the Vorth Empire. They had come to Earth 3 months ago with one simple message: surrender or die. Humanity had chosen to fight. The power core is ready, said Mi Young, Jinwoo's chief engineer. She was young but brilliant. Her hands moved quickly over the control panel. We can start the first test in 10 minutes, Jinwoo nodded. Around him, other scientists and soldiers worked at their stations. They had been working for weeks on a secret project. While the world burned above them, they had been building something that could change everything. The project was called the Human Spirit Drive. It was not just a weapon, it was something much more powerful. It used the one thing that made humans different from every other species in the galaxy: their refusal to give up. "Sir," called out Taehyun from his computer. He was the team's data analyst. "I'm getting reports from other bunkers around the world. London base is still operational. So is the Australian facility. They're both ready to begin their tests too." Jinwoo smiled for the first time in weeks. The plan was working. When the Vorth had attacked Earth, they had expected humans to surrender quickly. Most species did. The Vorth had conquered over 200 worlds this way. They would arrive, show their power, and wait for surrender. But humans were different. Instead of giving up, they had gone underground. They had connected their best minds from around the world. They had shared all their technology and knowledge. In 3 months, humanity had advanced their science by 50 years. "The aliens don't understand us," Jinwoo said to his team. "They think we're just another weak species. They don't know that humans get stronger when things get worse." Sujin, the team's psychologist, looked up from her notes. "The psychological profiles we've gathered from captured Vorth soldiers show they have never encountered a species like us. They expect fear and submission. They get anger and determination instead." The bunker shook as another alien weapon hit the surface above them. Dust fell from the ceiling. But nobody stopped working. If anything, they worked faster. 5 minutes until test, Mi Young announced. "All systems are green." Jinwoo walked over to the main viewing screen. It showed the prototype Human Spirit Drive. It looked simple, just a metal cylinder about the size of a car. But inside it was the most complex technology humans had ever created. The drive worked by tapping into something the aliens couldn't understand: human emotion. Not just any emotion, but the specific feeling humans got when they refused to quit. Scientists called it the determination field. It was an energy that existed only around humans when they faced impossible odds. "You know," said Kyung-ho, the team's physicist, "when I first heard about this project, I thought it was crazy. Using human stubbornness as a power source. It sounded like science fiction." "Everything sounds like science fiction until it works," Jinwoo replied. "The aliens have better ships, better weapons, and more soldiers. But they don't have what we have, and what's that?" asked Hyunwoo, the youngest member of the team. "They don't have desperation," Jinwoo said. "They don't know what it feels like to fight when there's no hope left. They've always been the strongest. They've never had to find strength they didn't know they had." The countdown reached 1 minute. Around the world, in similar bunkers, other teams were preparing their own tests. If this worked, humanity would have a chance. If it failed, the human race would end within days. 30 seconds, Mi Young called out. Jinwoo thought about his family. His wife and daughter had been in Seoul when the aliens attacked. He didn't know if they were alive or dead, but he knew they would want him to fight. Every human on Earth who had lost someone would want him to fight. 10 seconds. The determination field readings spiked on all the monitors. The drive was responding to the emotions of everyone in the bunker. Their anger, their sadness, their refusal to give up. It was all being converted into pure energy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Activate. Mi Young pressed the button. The human spirit drive hummed to life. The lights in the bunker flickered as massive amounts of energy flowed through the system. On the screen, they could see the drive glowing with a strange blue light. "It's working," Kyung-ho whispered. "The readings are off the charts." "Getting reports from London and Australia," Taehyun said excitedly. "Their drives are working too. The energy output is exactly what we predicted." Jinwoo felt a smile spread across his face. For the first time since the invasion began, he felt hope. Real hope. Contact the surface teams, he ordered. Tell them we're ready for Phase 2. Above them, the Vorth ships continued their attack. They had no idea that deep underground, humanity was preparing to show them something they had never seen before. What happened when humans decided they would rather die fighting than live as slaves? The war was about to change. Commander Vrek stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the primitive planet below. Earth had been burning for 3 months now. Most of the major population centers were destroyed. By all logic, the humans should have surrendered weeks ago, but they hadn't. Sir, his aide Korv reported, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from multiple locations on the planet's surface. Vrex's 4 eyes narrowed. The humans had been surprisingly resourceful. When most species faced the Vorth Empire, they gave up after the first demonstration of power. But these creatures kept fighting even when it was hopeless. What kind of energy? Vrex asked. Unknown, sir. It doesn't match any technology in our databases. The readings suggest massive power generation, but we can't identify the source. Underground, Jinwoo and his team were preparing for the next phase. The human spirit drive had been running for 6 hours now. The energy output was stable and growing stronger. Surface teams report ready, Taehyun announced. All 20 locations around the globe have their equipment in position. Mi-young looked at her readings with amazement. The drive is producing more energy than we calculated. It's like it's feeding on itself, getting stronger as we use it. Sujin nodded. That makes sense from a psychological standpoint. The more desperate our situation becomes, the stronger our determination grows. The drive is amplifying that. Jinwoo studied the tactical display. 20 hidden sites around Earth were now connected to human spirit drives. London, Sydney, São Paulo, Cairo, Mumbai. Every continent had at least one operational unit. Humanity's survivors had worked together like never before. Begin Phase 2, Jinwoo ordered. On the surface, hidden teams emerged from their shelters. They carried weapons that looked nothing like traditional human technology. The guns were sleek and blue, powered by determination field energy. The vehicles moved without wheels or engines, floating on pure human will. Nari led the Soul team. She had lost her entire family in the first attack. Her husband, her parents, her 2 young sons, all gone in an instant. But instead of breaking her, the loss had made her stronger. The determination field responded to her pain, turning it into power. Target the nearest Vorth patrol, she ordered her squad. Let's show them what happens when they mess with humans. The alien patrol consisted of 3 hover tanks and 12 soldiers. They were sweeping through the ruins of the city, looking for human survivors to capture. They had done this on 200 other worlds. It was routine, but as they moved through a destroyed shopping district, blue energy beams struck them from nowhere. The human weapons cut through their armor like paper. In seconds, half the patrol was down. What was that? Shouted the patrol leader in the Vorth language. Where did that firepower come from? His answer came as Nari and her team emerged from the rubble. They moved faster than any human should be able to move. Their weapons recharged instantly. Most strange of all, they seemed to glow with a faint blue light. The remaining Vorth soldiers opened fire, but their shots missed. The humans moved like they could predict where the aliens would shoot. One of Nari's squad members, a young man named Dong-hyun, ran straight at a hover tank. He should have been killed instantly. Instead, he jumped higher than any human could jump. He landed on the tank and tore open the hatch with his bare hands. The strength should have been impossible. Impossible, the Vorth patrol leader whispered, just before Nari's energy beam ended his life. Similar scenes were playing out around the globe. In London, Jaemin's team destroyed an entire Vorth supply convoy. In São Paulo, Hyewan and her fighters brought down a small warship. Each victory fed more energy into the human spirit drive network. On the flagship, Commander Vrex was getting increasingly disturbing reports. Sir, we've lost contact with patrol groups on all continents, Korv reported. The humans seem to have developed new weapons and abilities. Abilities? Vrex demanded. Enhanced speed, strength, and reflexes. Some reports suggest they can predict our tactics, and their weapons are far more advanced than anything they had 3 months ago. Vrex studied the tactical display. Red dots marked where his forces had gone silent. There were dozens of them. For the first time since the invasion began, he felt something he had never experienced before. Uncertainty. How is this possible? He asked. 3 months ago, these creatures couldn't even damage our scout ships. I don't know, sir. But whatever they're doing, it's spreading. Each attack seems to make them stronger. Deep underground, Jinwoo watched the reports flooding in. Every successful attack against the Vorth was feeding more energy into the drive network. The aliens had never faced anything like this before. The psychological effect is working better than we hoped, Sujin explained. Every time we win a battle, it proves to other humans that victory is possible. Their hope grows stronger, which powers the drives even more. Mi-young was studying the energy readings. We're approaching critical mass. If we can maintain this rate of growth for another 12 hours, we'll have enough power for Phase 3. What's Phase 3? Asked Hyunwoo. Jinwoo smiled. Phase 3 is when we stop defending and start attacking. Above them, Commander Vrex was calling for reinforcements. But for the first time in Vorth history, a conquest was not going according to plan. The humans were not just refusing to surrender, they were getting stronger. Sir, Korv said nervously, perhaps we should consider withdrawing and requesting a full battle fleet. Vrex's pride wouldn't allow retreat. The Vorth had never failed to conquer a world. They were the dominant species in the galaxy. These primitive humans could not possibly defeat them. Double the surface patrols, he ordered. I want every human stronghold found and destroyed. But as he gave the order, Vrex didn't know that the humans were counting on exactly that response. Every Vorth soldier he sent to the surface would face weapons powered by pure human determination. And with each battle, the humans would only grow stronger. The tide of the war was beginning to turn. The Vorth reinforcements arrived 2 days later. 50 more warships dropped out of hyperspace above Earth. Commander Vrex felt confident again. No primitive species could stand against this much firepower. He was wrong. In the underground bunker, Jinwoo watched the new ships appear on his screens. His team had been expecting this. In fact, they had been counting on it. Phase 3 is now active, he announced. All teams, you are cleared for orbital strikes. Around the world, human spirit drive installations that had been hidden underground began to rise to the surface. Massive energy cannons emerged from beneath the rubble of destroyed cities. Each cannon was powered by the concentrated determination of every human still, fighting for their world. Sungmin operated the cannon that rose from the ruins of Seoul. He had been a construction worker before the invasion. Now he controlled a weapon that could reach into space itself. As he aimed at the nearest Vorth ship, he thought about his sister who had died in the first attack. This is for Misuk, he whispered, and pressed the firing button. A beam of pure blue energy shot up into the sky. It struck the Vorth warship's shields and passed right through them. The massive alien vessel exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from the ground. Similar beams were firing from 20 locations around Earth. The Vorth fleet, which had seemed so powerful moments before, was being torn apart. Impossible, Commander Vrex shouted on his bridge. Our shields are rated for planet-killer weapons. How are they penetrating them? His science officer Zeth was frantically checking the readings. Sir, these energy beams don't seem to follow normal physics. They're somehow bypassing our defensive systems entirely. What the Vorth didn't understand was that the human spirit drive didn't just create energy. It created energy that was powered by human will. And human will, when focused enough, could overcome any obstacle. Another beam struck Vrex's flagship. The shields held for a moment, then failed completely. Emergency alarms blared throughout the ship. Hull breach on deck 7 through 12, Korv reported. We're losing atmosphere. Return fire, Vrex ordered. Target those energy sources! The Vorth ships unleashed everything they had at the Earth's surface. Plasma beams and fusion missiles rained down on the human positions. But the energy cannons were protected by the same force that powered them. Pure human determination made into a physical shield. Yun Jung was operating the defense grid for the London installation. She had been a quantum physicist before the war. Now she was using her knowledge to bend reality itself. When Vorth missiles approached her position, she simply willed them to miss. And somehow they did. The protective barriers are holding, she reported to her team. Their weapons can't touch us. But the human weapons were devastating the Vorth fleet. Ship after ship exploded in the cold vacuum of space. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Sir, Zeth reported with panic in his voice, we've lost 37 ships in the last 10 minutes. At this rate, the entire fleet will be destroyed within the hour. Commander Vrex stared at the tactical display in disbelief. His species had conquered over 200 worlds. They had never lost a single ship to a primitive species, and now they were being wiped out by creatures who had only just learned to fly between planets. "What are these humans?" he whispered. Deep underground, Sujin was monitoring the psychological effects of the battle. "The energy readings are incredible," she told Jinwoo. "Every Vorth ship we destroy is making our people more confident. That confidence is feeding back into the drives, making them even more powerful." Jinwoo nodded. The aliens still don't understand. They think this is about technology. They don't realize it's about the human spirit. On the surface, Minsu led a team of fighters equipped with personal determination field generators. They could fly now, powered by their own refusal to give up. As Vorth ground troops tried to reach the energy cannons, Minsu and his team intercepted them. The battle was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Humans moving faster than the eye could follow, dodging energy beams that should have killed them, human weapons that struck with the force of their users' anger and pain. Alien soldiers who had conquered hundreds of worlds found themselves helpless against an enemy that fought with pure emotion. "They're not using tactics," one Vorth soldier reported over his radio. "They're just unstoppable. It's like they can't be killed," and in a way he was right. The human spirit drive didn't just give humans better weapons and abilities. It made them harder to kill because it fed on their refusal to die. The more desperate the situation became, the stronger they got. Commander Vrex made a decision that no Vorth commander had ever made before. "All ships prepare to retreat, sir." Korv couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You heard me. We're withdrawing from this system immediately." But as the surviving Vorth ships tried to escape Earth's gravity well, they found their way blocked. Youngsu, operating the orbital control station, had extended the determination field around the entire planet. The alien ships were trapped. "Engines aren't responding," reported a Vorth pilot. "It's like space itself is holding us here." "That's exactly what's happening," Jinwoo said to his team as he watched the alien ships struggle helplessly. "We're using human will to alter local space-time. We're not just fighting them with weapons anymore. We're fighting them with reality itself." The last of the Vorth fleet was destroyed within minutes. 57 warships reduced to space debris by humans who 3 months earlier couldn't even defend their own cities. But Jinwoo knew this was just the beginning. Commander Vrex had managed to send a distress signal before his ship was destroyed. The Vorth Empire would send more ships. They would send their best commanders and their most advanced weapons. "What's our next move?" Mi-young asked. Jinwoo looked at the energy readings from the human spirit drive network. They were higher than ever. Every human survivor on Earth was filled with hope for the first time since the invasion began. That hope was more powerful than any weapon the aliens could build. "Our next move," Jinwoo said, "is to take this fight to them." The other team members stared at him in surprise. "You mean leave Earth?" Taehyun asked. "The Vorth Empire has enslaved 200 worlds," Jinwoo explained. "Billions of people living under alien rule, convinced that resistance is hopeless. But we've just proved that the Vorth can be beaten. It's time to spread that message." Sujin smiled. "You want to export the human spirit to other worlds?" "Exactly. The determination field isn't limited to humans. Any species can access it if they refuse to give up. We just need to show them how." For the first time since the invasion began, humanity was no longer fighting for survival. They were fighting for something much bigger, the freedom of every enslaved world in the galaxy. 3 weeks after the destruction of the Vorth fleet, the first human starship left Earth's orbit. It wasn't built in a factory or shipyard. It was created by the human spirit drive, shaped by the collective will of everyone who wanted to carry the fight to the enemy. Jinwoo stood on the bridge of the ship they had named Defiance. Around him, his team worked at stations that responded to thought as much as touch. The ship itself was alive with human determination, growing stronger with every light year they traveled. "Approaching the Kepler system," reported Nari, who had become their navigation specialist. "This is where the Vorth have their regional command center." The Kepler system was home to the Zalani, a peaceful species that had surrendered to the Vorth Empire 50 years ago. Their world was now a factory planet, producing weapons and ships for their conquerors. Billions of Zalani worked as slaves, their spirits broken by decades of oppression. "Any sign of Vorth ships?" Jinwoo asked. Taehyun checked his sensors. 12 warships in orbit around Kepler Prime. "But sir, these aren't the same class we fought at Earth. These are much larger." Jinwoo nodded. The Vorth Empire had been building newer, more powerful ships for decades, but they had never needed to use them before. Most species surrendered without a fight. "It doesn't matter how big their ships are," said Mi Young from the engineering station. "The determination field isn't limited by size or technology. It's limited by will." Su Jin was monitoring the psychological readings from the planet below. "I'm detecting massive despair from the Zilani population. They've given up hope completely. But that also means they have incredible potential if we can awaken their fighting spirit." The Defiance approached Kepler Prime carefully. Jin Wu didn't want to start a battle until they could make contact with the enslaved population. The key to human success wasn't just their weapons, it was their ability to inspire others to fight. "Broadcasting on all Zilani frequencies," reported Kyung Ho from the communication station. "Universal translator is active." Jin Wu opened the channel. "People of Kepler Prime, this is Captain Jin Wu of the human vessel Defiance. We are here to tell you that the Vorth Empire can be defeated. 3 weeks ago they sent 60 ships to conquer our world. We destroyed every one of them. On the planet's surface, Zilani workers stopped what they were doing. For 50 years they had been told that resistance was impossible. The Vorth were too strong, too advanced. But now these strange aliens called humans were claiming they had won a victory against the Empire. Zara was a Zilani engineer who had been forced to build weapons for her oppressors her entire life. She listened to the human broadcast with disbelief. Could it really be true? "We know you think we're lying," Jinwoo continued. "You've been told for generations that the Vorth cannot be beaten. But we're here to show you something they don't want you to know. The secret isn't better weapons or bigger ships. The secret is refusing to give up." The Vorth commander on Kepler Prime, Admiral Thex, was already scrambling his ships. He had heard about the disaster at Earth. High Command had blamed it on inferior equipment and poor tactics. But Thex wasn't taking any chances. "All ships target the human vessel and fire," he ordered. "Destroy them before they can spread their poison to the slaves." 12 massive Vorth warships opened fire simultaneously. The barrage was enough to destroy a small moon, but the Defiance didn't try to dodge. Instead, it flew straight into the attack. The energy beam struck the human ship and simply stopped. They hit a barrier made of pure determination and were absorbed harmlessly. The Defiance continued forward unharmed. "Impossible," Admiral Thex whispered. "Nothing can survive that much firepower." But on the planet below, something important was happening. The Zilani had seen their oppressors' most powerful weapons fail against a single human ship. For the first time in 50 years, some of them began to believe that resistance might be possible. Zara felt something stirring inside her chest. It was a feeling she had almost forgotten: hope. And as that hope grew, strange things began to happen around her. The tools in her hands felt lighter. Her movements became faster and more precise. "I'm detecting determination field formation on the planet's surface," Su Jin reported excitedly. "The Zilani are beginning to access their own fighting spirit." Jinwoo smiled. This was exactly what they had hoped for. The human ability to tap into determination wasn't unique to their species. Any intelligent being could access it once they believed victory was possible. "All human teams prepare for landing," Jinwoo ordered. "It's time to teach our new friends how to fight back." The Defiance landed in the middle of the largest Zilani city. Immediately, Vorth ground troops surrounded the ship. But as the humans emerged, they found themselves facing something unexpected: Zilani workers standing beside them. Zara had abandoned her factory post and gathered other workers. Armed only with tools and newfound courage, they formed a circle around the human landing site. "Stand down," ordered the Vorth troop commander. "Return to your workstations immediately." "No," Zara said simply. It was the first time she had said that word to a Vorth in her entire life. "We will not stand down." The Vorth soldiers raised their weapons, but something strange happened. As the Zilani refused to back down, their determination field grew stronger. Soon they were moving with the same enhanced speed and strength that the humans had shown. Nari emerged from the Defiance carrying a portable human spirit drive generator. "We brought you a gift," she told Zara. "This will amplify what you're already feeling. But remember, the power doesn't come from the machine, it comes from inside you." The battle for Kepler Prime lasted only 6 hours. Zilani workers, armed with determination field weapons and their own refusal to remain slaves, swept through the planet. The Vorth garrison, which had controlled the world for 50 years, was overwhelmed in minutes. Admiral Thex tried to bombard the planet from orbit, but the combined determination fields of humans and Zilani created a shield that protected the entire world. His powerful warships were as helpless as toys. "This is Admiral Thex to High Command," he transmitted desperately. "The slaves are in open revolt. They have weapons and abilities that match the humans. We need immediate reinforcement," but it was too late. The last Vorth ship in the Kepler system was destroyed by a combined human-Zilani energy beam that reached up from the planet's surface. "One world liberated," Jinwu said to his team. 199 to go. But word of the victory was already spreading. The Vorth Empire's communication networks carried news of the defeat to every enslaved world. For the first time in centuries, subject species across the galaxy began to whisper a word that had been forgotten. Rebellion. Dong-hyun, monitoring the galactic communication channels, looked up with excitement. "Sir, we're getting signals from dozens of worlds. They're asking for help. They want to learn how to fight back." Jinwu looked out at the liberated city below, where humans and Zilani worked together to build new determination field generators. This was how the galaxy would be freed, not by human conquest, but by teaching others to conquer themselves. "Signal the construction teams on Earth," he ordered. "We're going to need more ships." 6 months after the liberation of Kepler Prime, the galaxy was in chaos. The Vorth Empire, which had ruled unchallenged for 300 years, was crumbling. Rebellion had spread to over 100 worlds, and more joined the fight every day. Jinwu stood in the command center of Liberation Station, a massive space station built jointly by humans and their alien allies. Around him, representatives from dozens of species worked together, coordinating the final assault on the Vorth homeworld. "Fleet status report," he requested. Zara, now serving as the Zilani fleet commander, stepped forward. 200 ships ready for battle, Captain. Each one powered by the determination of free people who refused to be enslaved again. The fleet outside the station was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships from dozens of different species, all powered by the same force that had started with humanity: the refusal to give up. "Any word from the Vorth capital?" Jinwu asked. Taehyun nodded grimly. "Emperor Vak has issued another surrender demand. He claims humanity is using illegal weapons that violate galactic law." Several of the alien representatives laughed at this. The Vorth talking about law was like pirates complaining about theft. "The Emperor is desperate," observed Keth, a former Vorth slave from the Rigel system. "His empire is collapsing faster than he can stop it. Half his fleet has already defected to our side." This was true. Many Vorth soldiers, seeing their empire's defeats, had begun to question their orders. Some had even joined the rebellion, bringing their ships and knowledge with them. They had learned that there was something more powerful than fear: hope. Mi Young looked up from her engineering station. "The final determination field generator is online. We now have enough power to project a liberation field around the entire Vorth homeworld." Jinwu nodded. This was what they had been building toward. The liberation field was their greatest innovation, a way to instantly awaken the fighting spirit in any population, no matter how long they had been oppressed. "Begin the final approach," he ordered. The massive liberation fleet moved toward Vorth Prime, the capital world of the Empire. It was the most heavily defended planet in the galaxy, protected by over 1,000 warships and massive orbital defense platforms. But as the fleet approached, something unexpected happened. The Vorth defenders didn't attack. Instead, they sent a communication signal. "This is Admiral Korv of the Vorth Imperial Fleet," came the transmission. "I request permission to speak with the human commander." Jinwu recognized the name. Korv had been Commander Vrex's aide during the first attack on Earth. "This is Captain Jinwu. What do you want?" "I want to discuss terms," Korv replied. "The Empire is prepared to negotiate a ceasefire." "The time for negotiation was before you attacked innocent worlds," Jinwu responded. "The only terms we'll accept are complete surrender and the immediate liberation of all enslaved peoples." "You don't understand," Korv said urgently. "If you attack Vorth Prime, Emperor Vak will activate the planet-killer weapons. He'll destroy entire star systems rather than lose his empire." Sujin looked up from her psychological analysis station. "He's telling the truth about the Emperor's mental state. I'm reading extreme desperation and rage from the planetary surface. Vak would rather commit genocide than admit defeat." Jinwu considered this. The goal had always been liberation, not destruction. But they couldn't allow the Vorth to threaten innocent worlds. "There's another option," suggested Nari. "Instead of attacking the planet, we project the liberation field first. Awaken the fighting spirit of everyone on Vorth Prime, including the Vorth themselves." It was a risky plan. The Vorth had been the dominant species for so long that they might not remember how to fight for freedom, but Jinwu realized it was their best chance to end the war without massive casualties. "Do it," he ordered. "Activate the liberation field." The combined determination of every free being in the fleet focused into a single, massive beam of pure liberation energy. It struck Vorth Prime and spread across the entire planet in seconds. On the surface, something remarkable happened. Vorth citizens who had lived their entire lives under the brutal rule of their emperor suddenly felt something they had forgotten: the desire to be free. Commander Lex was a mid-level Vorth officer who had always followed orders without question. But as the liberation field washed over him, he remembered his childhood dreams of exploring the galaxy in peace, not conquest. He looked at his weapon and realized he didn't want to kill anymore. All across Vorth Prime, similar awakenings were happening. Soldiers laid down their weapons. Citizens who had been afraid to speak out began to gather in the streets. Even some of the Emperor's own guards began to question their loyalty. "Sir," reported one of Vak's generals, "there are massive demonstrations in all major cities. The people are demanding your abdication." Emperor Vak stared at his monitors in disbelief. His own people were rebelling against him. "Activate the planet killers," he ordered. "If I cannot rule the galaxy, then no one will." But when he pressed the activation button, nothing happened. His own technicians had disabled the weapons rather than commit genocide. "The liberation field has reached the Emperor's bunker," Sujin reported. "His determination to destroy everything is being overwhelmed by his people's determination to live free." Within hours, the rebellion on Vorth Prime was complete. Emperor Vak was captured by his own citizens and put on trial for crimes against the galaxy. The 300-year reign of the Vorth Empire was over, but the real victory wasn't the fall of the Empire. It was what came next. Jinwu stood before the Galactic Assembly addressing representatives from every free world. "Today we celebrate not just the end of tyranny, but the beginning of something new. We have proven that no species needs to bow to another. We have shown that the power to be free exists inside every thinking being." The assembly hall erupted in cheers from hundreds of different species. Some used voices, others used light patterns or electromagnetic signals, but they all expressed the same thing: joy at being free. "The human spirit drive will remain operational on every world that wants it," Jinwu continued. "Not as a weapon, but as a reminder that the spirit of freedom can never be truly defeated, only forgotten. And as long as one being remembers what it means to refuse surrender, that spirit will spread until all are free." As he spoke, Jinwu thought about his wife and daughter, still missing since the attack on Seoul. The war was won, but the search for Earth survivors continued. Still, he felt at peace. Humanity had given the galaxy something precious: the knowledge that freedom was always possible. Mi Young approached him as he left the assembly. "The search teams found something," she said quietly. "A survivor camp hidden in the Korean mountains. Your family is alive, Jinwu." For the first time since the war began, Jinwu felt tears in his eyes. But these were tears of joy, not sorrow. The determination field around him pulsed with happiness instead of rage. The galaxy was free. His family was alive, and somewhere in the universe, on worlds not yet discovered, other species would face their own moments of despair. When they did, they would remember the story of how a small blue planet called Earth had taught the galaxy that the greatest weapon of all was the refusal to give up. The human spirit had become the galactic spirit, and it would burn bright among the stars forever.